Hello again, SGBers, I'm Companion Wolf. Welcome to another Smile Game Builder tutorial. The general theme of this tips and tricks tutorial is, as the title states, combat. I thought I'd go through a few things regarding combat and battles. Some of these areas you might already know about, some you might not. You can skip to the parts that interest you with the time links I've put in the description below. After the intro, I'll start by addressing a few of the questions I've been asked about or seen asked on the forums. About a month ago now, I was asked if it's possible to have a fog of war effect. The short answer is no. At least not in its truest sense. That is, the map is initially fogged out, but as you explore, more of the map is revealed. SGB doesn't have this feature. It would be a good idea for RTSs or certain strategy games, sure. However, even though it can be done in SGB, numerous images and events strategically placed on the map to slowly reveal the map areas themselves is required for an effective fog of war, and this method, in my opinion, unfortunately wouldn't make it practical to use. So this would not be a good viable option currently in SGB. Another question was about an action battle system. SGB doesn't have an ABS. It's purely a Final Fantasy or RPG Maker style battle system with either 2D or 3D styles. An ABS can be achieved in SGB, however, with a lot of hard work and effort. I've seen it in action on a YouTube video. I'll pop the link in the description, and have even experimented with one myself. It's not that difficult if you take the time to plan it and develop it, and it does take a lot of both planning and development. For the most part, a lot of variables and parallel events are relied upon to make it work, but it certainly can be done. Does anyone remember the battle system from Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, where you have a battlefield with a set amount of monsters that you need to kill before you can move on to the next area? A while ago, close to a few years now, I recreated this for RPG Maker and thought I'd try to do the same thing for SGB. As you can see from the map I created, the arrows point to the directions that are available to move, also a feature in Mystic Quest. Unfortunately, this needs a bit of tweaking because as it is, it doesn't work properly. So for the battle system itself, create a blank event, which I've done myself, and give it an appropriate graphic for the battlefield. On sheet 1, we'd simply assign a random number between 1 and however many battles you want before it's cleared out. In this case, just 3. Then assign a maximum value of random to another variable. I've just used battles check for this. Using the advanced variable box to what to the battles check, how to another variable called battles fought, and then we use the subtraction. This will subtract the number of battles fought from the number of battles to be fought, and then display a message. Basically, you have \variable 3 out of 3 battles remaining. You can use the variables method to display any of the variables values in the display message. Next, we set up the random encounters, which is just simply a variable box check with the corresponding number of battles to be fought. In this case, we have 3 battles, which was set up through the random and battles check. So if random equals 1, under yes, place a battle which is under battle store game items, and then you have place battle. Under when victorious, add 1 to the battles fought, and then turn the check battle 1 switch on. Under when defeated, just simply put a message: you fought variable 1 out of 3 battles. And variable 1 is the actual number of battles that you fought. So then under the no of the first variable box check, it's pretty much the same thing, except you set the random number to 2, change your enemies, monsters accordingly, and then add 1 to the battles fought, turn the switch on again. Under no it's the same, and then under the variable box check under no, pretty much a copy and paste job again. This time we set the random to 3 and change the monsters accordingly. You can repeat this for as many maximum battles as you have. Then on sheet 2, add the condition where check battle 1 switch is on. We have another variable box check, this time set to battles fought. So if the number of battles fought is equals to 3, our pre-assigned maximum, or whatever your maximum number of the battle is, under yes, change your graphics to something more more befitting, representing the battlefield has been cleared out. Display a text message: the monsters have been cleared out. And then under no, turn the check battle 1 switch off so that it recycles until all the monsters have been defeated. So now we're ready to play test it to see how it works. Before engaging in combat, I'm going to change the levels to 99 each via the debug window F5. This way it'll expedite the battles and the monsters should be killed with 1 hit, and that's it. So let's go. So you have 2 out of 3 battles remaining. And then the final one. The monsters have been cleared out. It's a short but effective method. Perhaps it could be used for arena type battles where after defeating hordes of monsters before it, the final boss appears. You can place this on sheet 2 right under the S and before the monsters have officially been cleared out. And of course, if you don't want to go straight to the game over screen when you're defeated, you just check no game over even if defeated. And then this way, the player can level up their characters more to prepare properly for the boss battle. You will need to do this for each and every such event with a separate switch for each as well. So the second one would be renamed Check Battle 2, and so on and so on. Setting the battle background in 3D is quite cool as well. Instead of having the static image, static images as backgrounds, which I personally prefer, I like that you can use 3D maps as backgrounds, as you saw in that previous playtest. Let's see, map settings. You can select the ones that you want from the defaults or the maps you have already created. Mine would be the start. And then you can position the background anywhere you like. So we can do, say for instance, a slime. Just add one to that. And do a battle test. 99. 99 again. So the battle is exactly where you had positioned it. Now something very interesting happens if you select an area too close to a raised terrain. So let's put the center point somewhere near the trees and battle test again. And as you can see, the monsters are actually on top of the trees. One has even disappeared. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. It just looks so surreal. And the characters even climb on the trees. It's just a bit odd. That's just surreal, especially with the 2D battles, like so. Personally, I think there should be a choice of which type of background to use here, not necessarily based on what battle type is selected in the game data, i.e. between 2D and 3D, but then again it should be 2D battles with 2D backgrounds for 2D monsters. Conversely, the same for 3D battles. I guess in the end it doesn't matter, it's just a matter of preference. And talking of 3D battles, you may have noticed that the battlers are 2D graphics simulated as 3D for the 3D environment, so that when they turn you can clearly see they're like paper images or something. If you know how to create them, you can use them. I don't, so I'm using Jacob Mann's sci-fi characters for this. Import them via add assets, but they need to be imported as characters, which I have done. Then they need to be set up in the Monsters tab in the game data. Like so. I've pre-created them and given them each some stats and attacks. So to quickly test them again in action, we'll go back into the battle test, and alien and drone are the ones. Then we'll select somewhere there. That's probably about right. Incidentally, the footsteps until spawn is exactly that. It's not a random number between 1 step and 20 steps, it's the actual number of steps before a monster encounter is triggered. So for the battle test, I'll increase each of their levels to 30. That should be enough. Oh, and we got 2 drones this time. And you can see how much cooler it is with the 3D monsters. So with that, another question asked on Steam was about a Pokemon style combat system where combat only initiates on certain terrain types such as grass or ivy, and only with a randomized number of steps. While it's not possible to use terrain specific areas to generate random encounters, as in RPG Maker where you can specify areas and terrain types for these encounters, in SGB it's doable, but probably isn't all that practical. There is a basic method you can do this, but you won't necessarily be able to use the Pokemon in battle in the same way. This method essentially simulates using Pokemon type monsters in battles instead. So the first thing to do is to set up an event, which we will then clone it across the area where the encounters will take place. For the graphic, you can't actually use the terrain itself because it doesn't have that. So instead you'd have to create a matching terrain as an object and then place it on the map in order to use it. Come on. No, don't crash on me. Thank you. I thought I would have to exit out that and start this again. Anyway, with the event, collide with player is unchecked, and then in the event details, add a random number between 1 and the value representing the number of steps, or 0 and the value depending on which variable box option you use. You can use the advanced or the normal variable box. Add a variable box check for the steps random number. This can be different, of course, for each individual event. In this case I've just put 2 steps. Under yes, place the battle with the monster of your choice. And then we have a display selection with 2 options, catch and leave. Under catch, generate another random number to represent the percentage or difficulty for catching the monster. Then we add another variable box set to the number you want to use. So in this case the difficulty would be 3. Under yes, increase the item added to it. Obviously you have to create the item first, and in this case I selected a fire icon for Charmander since he's fire based. Make sure it's not usable on the map but is usable in battle. Check same effect as skill and then select the skill you want to use. In this case I just used fire. And then add a message, you caught a Charmander. Then under no, a message, you didn't catch it. And then you would simply copy and paste as many times as you like for the area this applies to. I only have a small area. And then once again we'll increase the level to 99 in the debug window so that we can one hit the monsters. Oh, that's the random encounter from, I believe, the previous tutorial, or it will be in the future if I haven't done it before. So now after the battle you have a choice to catch it or just continue without it. First try. In the previous playtests it actually took me 12 times to catch a single Charmander. That's randomness for you. There goes that bike. So now we have the Charmander in the inventory. Nah, I didn't catch it. Anyway, we can now use the item in the next battle. And that's it. You just do this for as many times as you want to catch one. It'll take a lot of patience. SGB can handle quite a large number of events on a single map, but I'm not sure how many it would take before actually compromising performance, especially with like parallel events or auto-running events. While this method is functional, it's probably not ideal for maps with bigger areas in which to catch monsters. I guess another alternative would be to make maps for each terrain type and then surround the area with events that teleport to the appropriate map. And while you can store the player's XY coordinates in SGB, it doesn't have a feature where you can simply recall the player to its precise location again before the teleport. So after the battle you'd have to use the teleport to return to a more generic, more centric location. And that concludes another tutorial. I'll no doubt revisit this subject again in the future with more event-based battles. But in the meantime, if you found this video useful, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. As always, you can visit my SGB subsite and my Twitter and Facebook accounts, both of which sometimes have unique content that I don't put on the subsite, mostly for SGB, but sometimes for RPG Maker as well. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Until the next time.